So I'm recording. I'm recording now with permission from all of the participants, and we're here to talk about PCM as seeing people through as a sales tool for PCM. I want to share my screen here. Well, actually, before I share my screen, I want to do a quick poll and find out how much a business, PCM business, you're all doing. So I have a poll here that I'm going to launch that is asking you to indicate what percentage of your business is PCM right now. Just curious in this group where we're at. Will you complete this? Can you see it, Aaron?
I can, but I'm unable to take it because I'm one of the hosts.
Oh, okay.
But I think you might know.
I'm not seeing any answers show up, though.
Oh, yeah, I am. Everybody's taking it.
Okay, great. Will you show it?
Yeah. Sharing it now. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Can you see it, Nate? No?
I can see it.
Okay,
Great.
good. Well, I'll tell you, 2 people said about 0 to 25%, and 1 26 to 50, and 1 51 to 75.
Great. Great. Well, I would love to take a few minutes to go around and hear from you very briefly, just because we have 6 people. Briefly, what kind of PCM work do you do? And what is your interest in being here to learn about how we can use this book to sell PCM? And to make this easier, I'll just start here. The first one on my screen is Magda. You willing to share?
Yes. Okay, so the PCM work that I'm doing, and actually hopefully now it's going to start to grow a bit more, it's to deliver the PCM training in 3 days format to companies. I am Romanian, but I live in London, and for me it was quite a surprise to see that in the UK PCM it's almost unknown, unfortunately. Like in Romania, really it's booming. I get requests, thank God, I get requests from there. So that's what's keeping me busy, let's say, with PCM, not as much as I would want to, but it is happening. So my purpose now for this year and the next is to actually grow my business of teaching PCM in London and the UK. I would love to do that because I believe in the tool. So
Great.
I think it will bring a lot of value.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How about Monica?
Unmute. Hi, I'm from Italy, Rome. With PCM is more than half of my business actually. The other part is coaching, and often I use PCM in coaching as well. So it's and generally I'm doing the PCM, the discovery PCM. And it depends on the time that the company has. If I can do it in the 2 days, 1 day and a half, but generally what I do is the preferred format is 2 days plus 1, and the 2 days now I'm doing them with a large interval in between. So I experimented different way of doing it, and this is the best for me. One, a couple of weeks, another one. And after four months, another. This, like I call it gym, PCM gym.
Good.
So
thank you. Oh, fantastic. Stephen.
Hello. As far as me and PCM, I have been doing, it's been a little bit less than what I've been doing in the past, new role within my business, and that's where most of my traffic comes from. The activities styles that I've been doing has been more from the sales area with our individuals out talking with the customers, and a little bit with our internal leadership dealing with individuals in the manufacturing environment. It has been, I'm very excited with what we're seeing here, because in my world, the training comes in as either learning how to do something on the manufacturing floor, turn a bucket rivet, turn a wrench or whatever, or leadership. And whenever I would discuss it with people, they would say, well, that's communication, Steve. That's not leadership. So I'm excited. So hope,
Great.
does that answer your question, Nate?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Just like to have some context for how you're using it. Andre.
Yeah, so I'm not a full-time trainer. I'm a regional manager, but I also run parallel PCM discovery trainings. I do more or less as Monica. Usually 2 days I run the whole format. Then after 1-2 weeks I run another day where we mostly focus on exercises. And then after maybe 2-3 months another shot. So I do the introduction in PCM, and then I work with these teams. I do kind of coaching, team development in order to help them improve the communication in the team, and also some topics related with leadership related with PCM.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. That's fantastic. Great to know all the different ways in which you're using it. And I hope today can be valuable for you from a sales perspective, not just for PCM, but for anything that you're selling. My guess is if PCM is not 100% of your business, then you're doing other things as well. And so that's okay. We can learn from each of those. I want to share my screen here, and let's see. Can you see my screen? Great.
Yes.
Thank you. So today we're going to talk about how to use our new book, Seeing People Through, as a sales tool for PCM. And you were given a code to receive the book, and we asked that you read it and pay attention to a couple things. And your familiarity with the book will be real helpful, because I'll be asking you to share what you're seeing, what you're hearing, and maybe look at the story in a slightly different way as a sales tool. And so I wanted to share with you some of the basic principles of selling. And this is not just about PCM. All of us are salespeople in some way. Maybe some of us do all of our own selling, and some of us have teams to sell. I know at Next Element, selling is definitely our challenge, and we are working all the time to become better at this. And here are some things that we've learned about selling in general. And these are in order of importance, and we will talk about each one and how the book helps us. What's very important up front is that we can show that we understand and care about the client's most pressing problems. Clients are dealing with problems every day. They're dealing with pain. They're dealing with things that they wish were better. And it's important that we can understand those and that we can care about what they're dealing with. And it's important that we establish credibility of ourselves as providers, and also credibility of whatever tools we want to use. And that's important. We base a lot of our work on a system called StoryBrand, and I'll share with you a link to them later. We believe it's very important that the client is the hero in the story. And if you imagine a story, seeing people through is a story. It's a fictional story, and it's important that the client is the hero. In the spirit of plus plus, I'm okay, you're okay, we are not here to rescue. We are not here to fix people. We are here to provide solutions so that our clients can solve their own problems and feel more empowered and be the hero in their own stories. Also very important, you've probably experienced that in any sales process, there are advocates and there are adversaries. There are certainly people who love what we do. They're bringing us in. They're advocating for our work, but there are also people inside that have other agendas and can be very adversarial. And so it's important in a sales process to find out who the adversaries are and to neutralize them. Not in a plus minus way, but to neutralize them so they become advocates. And then there's also competition. Most often, we are not the only solution they are looking at. Recently, very simple example, my daughter is getting married next week, and we're doing a big wedding, and we have to buy lots of alcohol. we're buying lots of alcohol for the bar. And I have a friend who runs a liquor store business. And I reached out to him almost a year ago and said, hey, you know, we want to buy some beer or liquor or beer. Can you give us a good price? And he said, yeah, I can give you a good deal. And I'm guessing he thought that was a done deal. Well, things have changed with coronavirus. We switched venues, we've downsized, everything's very, very different. Our budget is very small now. And so we started looking around to see if we could find that alcohol cheaper. And it turns out there's a very good competitor in the same town that can give us a much better price. And so he was unable to neutralize the competition and he lost the business. Nothing personal, but that's how we're making our decision. And it's important in sales that we offer the customer a clear plan of action. Very often we don't appreciate that the customer does not know what to do. The customer knows what their problem is, but they don't know what to do. And they rely on us to help guide the way and be a guide so that they can have clear steps, a clear pathway to solving their problem. I remember when I was doing clinical work with therapy, and one thing I realized that I would tell a lot of the therapists in mentoring was, patients don't come to us because they want to change. They come to us because they want the pain to go away. So that is where we start. That's why it is so important that we understand their pain, that we care about the problem, and that they can be the hero in that story. So let's talk about how this book helps us identify and appreciate and empathize with the client's problem. The characters in the story are designed to be very relatable. We want these characters to relate to you and me, to the decision makers, and we want them to show empathy, because ideally, if a decision maker is reading this book, we want them to be able to see themselves in the story and see that we understand their problem, that we care about what they're going through. I'm curious what you may have seen when you read the story about the characters and how they might relate to the people you're selling to. Anybody can jump in.
I can speak from my perspective, but I must raise my hand and say that I only managed to read the first 3 chapters. I didn't get till the end. So from the first 3 chapters, indeed, I felt they were very relatable. It was, I was recognizing myself in some of the instances, and in some others I wish I would have recognized my former bosses, and but it was not the case. So it was both, as you say, relatable, but also making me wish that I would see these kind of behaviors more, you know, from the Process Corp. So it was kind of a wishful thinking that yes, maybe one day I will see something like this happening. So it was, yeah, it was a pleasant feeling reading the book, but also with good good learning. I mean, I must say I highlighted a lot of phrases from the book, and that's why probably it takes a bit longer to read it, though it's easy, it flows nicely, but I do stay on some paragraphs.
Sure.
I stay longer, I linger.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. The same for me, like Magda. Actually, I read the book, and what I saw is that some characters are reminds me some of my customers, but they didn't do the last mile, in the sense they are still in the problem. So it's a good I mean, way to see how I can help them, especially the one with the promoter base. It's reminds me a lot a sales manager that actually is convinced that everything is okay, but the people around him doesn't agree. So probably it could be, I mean, an idea. I mean, it shows me a way how I can work on this. So it's, yes, true. It's the characters are really, I mean, they are real.
Yeah. Well, all the characters in this book are designed to represent real people, real leaders, real decision makers, and most of them represent people in my life. Pauline has the same structure as me. Kayla has the same structure as Aaron. And so we can draw on the real struggles of what it's like to learn and grow and become a leader in these situations. Yeah. I kind of mixed Paul Larkin with you, Aaron. I think Kayla's got a little Paul Larkin in her.
Yeah. I certainly resonate with
Yeah.
some of her struggles and insights.
Yeah. Also, when we're showing that we understand the problems, the goal of the book was to show that PCM is a solution to real and important problems faced by businesses. And real and important is critical because businesses have many problems, but the one that we can solve needs to be the most important one, or else they won't hire us. And so how do we help them appreciate that the problem that we can solve is a priority for them? That means they're willing to dedicate time, resources, money, effort to solve it. Because our clients, like us, we have many problems. They're all important. And very good salespeople, very good vendors are able to help us prioritize our problems so that we can dedicate the resources properly. So what I want to do is Aaron, would you be willing to facilitate a quick breakout?
Yeah.
And
sure.
leave us out of it. What I'm going to do is put you into 2 groups of 2, and your challenge is in 1 minute to 2 minutes, identify what are the top 2 problems that PCM solves better than any other model. And you can't talk about PCM, you can't talk about the features, you have to talk about what real problem do leaders have that PCM can solve better than anything else. And Aaron will put you, hi. Hey, Carol. Yeah. Carol can join one of the groups.
Okay, so I was needing to regain a host function, so I just did that. You want everybody in groups of 2?
A group of 2 and a group of 3, leaving you and I in a group together, and then we can talk about next steps.
Okay, let's see. Well, I can only do groups of, I think I'll do 2 per room. Does that work? Or
Sure.
Do you want 3 per room?
2 per room. We'll put one of us in one.
Well, okay. We'll see what happens here.
Let's see what happens. Yeah. Top 2 problems PCM can solve better than anything else.
Okay. I'm going to do move.
It's always surprising. Who will I end up with? Maybe I'll be by the Black Sea. I don't know.
All right.
Aaron, I'm recording, so I'm guessing our breakout room is being recorded. I'm going to guess since it's on my computer. So I'm curious if you have any questions about this process or if you're curious about what's coming.
I'm curious about it all. That's why I joined. So I'm just sort of taking it in as you go.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I didn't do breakout group for this before because we only had 2 people. But the purpose here is to get them focused on the problems we're solving, not the model, not the tool that we're trying to sell. Because we've really worked on that. And then later, when we talk about the features of PCM, we can connect those features to the problems that we're trying to solve for the client.
That's smart. That's good. Good. Yeah, Carol, that's good. Carol emailed me and said she was trying to get in but couldn't find the links. So she I have her, Magda, and Steven in one room.
Oh, that's great.
And then Andre and Monica in the other.
Good.
Had to finagle.
I kind of tried to pull some of the best elements from StoryBrand and also our sales process that we did with Steve, just to say, here are some of the things, and try to emphasize that talking about the features comes way further down than maybe we're used to, because we're all just big believers in PCM.
Right. I like that intro. I think, gosh, just in the last 3 months or so, we've been able to refine so much. So hopefully that's helpful, sharing that with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Let's see. Do you want me to remind people of the message, or are you good? Because I can send that to the room. Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll.
Or maybe
are you keeping track of time? Because
let's go about another 30 seconds yet.
Okay.
Do you give them a minute when you say warning? Does it automatically do a minute, or can you?
I think when I do close all rooms, it says they have a minute.
Great.
Yeah. Man, great call on the Dennis Rodman one, by the way. Thank you.
I like that one.
That's a good one.
Well, and it lifts up that we misunderstand rebels, and Dennis Rodman was highly productive in his role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. But criticized for all sorts of other things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, I'll start the close.
Okay.
Let's see. 60 seconds.
Good.
And I'm going to go ahead and go back to the main session. Well, hey. So are you doing 3 of these or 4 of these today? You're muted. 3? You're muted still, Nate.
We had 13 initially, and then you would make 14 and Carol Borg would make 15. So I think we'll have a good group this afternoon as well.
So divided between 3?
Yeah.
Or 4? Okay.
3.
Great. Yeah, I'm glad you said something, because it was not, it's just on your calendar, and because my name is tied to the account, I can't ever register. So I have to think ahead and put stuff on my calendar versus registering.
Yeah.
So I was glad you reminded.
So now that we're back, will you please type in the chat, type the problems that you identified that PCM can solve better than any others. Type them in there so we can all see them. Yes. Difficult people, yes. Yes. Thanks, Steve. And I appreciate these because they are using language that the customer would use. This is not PCM specific language. Fantastic. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Managing ourselves, miscommunication. Yes, we're not connected. We're not productive. That lack of those things is so important, particularly if we're in an environment where performance is key and we have very important targets to meet. Stress, managing ourselves. Yeah. Fantastic. Good. Well, I want to share with you some of the most common problems that we hear from our trainers and from around the world that they are solving with PCM. And miscommunication and distress is definitely a big one. More and more diversity and inclusion. PCM has much to offer on doing that. Lack of motivation, engagement, and trust are big ones. Our people aren't motivated. They're not engaged. And the more that the research is showing that engagement leads to productivity and engagement leads to reduced turnover, then companies want to improve that. Social emotional intelligence, people use a variety of words, but they may say our leaders just don't have the people skills that they need. Yesterday, I was trying to check out at a lumber yard here in town, and none of the staff were wearing masks, which was odd to me because every other business is wearing masks, and I was wearing mine. And I asked the person, I said, I'm just curious. I noticed, all of us are wearing masks. You're not. Why is that? And he said, he was about 25 years old. He said, because I don't have to. I said, interesting. You don't have to. And he goes, yeah, our space is big enough. We can social distance, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, well, I'm just curious as a customer. I'm curious how I can feel safe in case you might have something. And he goes, oh, I don't have it because I have asthma and I take albuterol, so I'm immune. It cures it. So, oh. And then he went on to say, you probably didn't ask for my opinion, but between you and me, I would just tell someone to kiss my hairy white ass. But I won't say that to you. And you know, I don't even think Corona is real, and I'm immune anyways because I take albuterol, and I've been reading the science. And I thought, oh my goodness. Aside from the fact that he's misinformed, his social emotional intelligence was so low because he, you know, and so I called the manager, who's a good friend of mine, and I don't know how long he'll be working there anymore, but broken culture. People have a lot of different ways to talk about our culture's broken, our culture's messed up. And in terms of others, lots of great ones that you shared as well. So I put over here to the right the table of contents for the book. And one thing I want to emphasize again is there are no PCM terms in this. These are words that describe the challenges and the problems that leaders are facing. And again, I want to emphasize this is not primarily a book about PCM. It is a book about leadership and the challenges and problems leaders face, and then PCM is used as a solution to those problems. Agility and selffulness are a little bit less well-known words. Selffulness we kind of make up. We use it in the PCM world, and I didn't bring those words in till the end because the first 7 chapters really talk about big themes that leaders care about and problems that they're dealing with. Any comments about the importance that we can talk to the problems that our clients are facing rather than talk about trying to sell PCM?
Can you repeat your question, Nate, please?
Yeah, I'm just curious. Thank you, Carol. If you have any comments or questions or insights around this, how important it is to speak to the problem of the client instead of trying to go sell PCM.
Yes. Yes, I think.
I would say.
Okay.
Please.
Carol, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, I was again talking about that this afternoon when I was dealing with a PCM trainer, and we were talking about an opportunity, and I said, you know, she was presenting me a solution, and I said, you know, I like your solution, but I think that PCM comes in too early. I think that you should talk about the solution first, and then when the person is convinced that you have the solution, then say that, by the way, I'm going to use, what you're going to get is a questionnaire, and you're going to answer some questions, and from there we're going to go into the program. So yes, because what we have seen in our reality is, and it happened to us not very long ago, was that we were going with something that we thought for teams was really, really precious and would have made the difference. And when the person who was not a PCM trained person, but a partner type of person, went to present the thing, she started with the wrong approach, saying, yes, we're going to use a PCM and you're going to have a personality profile. And she said, ooh, no, we already have insight. So we will continue with insight. And this was it. That was the lost opportunity forever.
Yep. Great example. Great example. Yeah. Was there someone else that had, yeah.
No, I was going to say, somebody else was going to say something. So I'm curious to hear. Aaron, was it you?
Yeah, no, actually it was me. So I would say it's like basic sales here, because when you sell a product or a service, usually you focus not on the specification of your product, but on the benefit for the customer. So this is the concept basically. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes, well said. So another important part of the sales process is to establish credibility, and the book is designed to do that. And as a function of my base promoter, I want to try to convince and persuade people all the time. And it's not always experienced as a good thing. And so my challenge with the book was to, how do we establish credibility without it being a sales pitch? And so I'm curious, what what you noticed about how the book establishes credibility, both of PCM, but also for you as a CP.
Well, for me, Steve Maley, it was around, actually, it wasn't the story, it was the introduction that really helped me the most, especially when you go on and hit the other personality assessments and discuss about how, you know, you can find these differences, but what do you do with them? That's where the credibility of PCM started making me see, oh, light bulbs are going off of how I need to make more connections on this. Okay, so big what if you're a thinker? What do you do with that type of thing is what I've heard. So I appreciate the introduction for that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still waiting for the copy of your book.
Yeah. Did you notice anything about how definitely the introduction is a strong credibility? It's about credibility of PCM. There's data, there's testimonials, there's personal story. People respond to different things. What about, another goal of the book was to establish your credibility. So we only distribute PCM in the United States. We have no benefit from selling PCM anywhere else, other than we get a little bit of commission off of the book and the leadership profile. But for the most part, the point of the book is also to help you be seen as credible as part of the PCM global community. And so there are some things in there where you can say, I'm part of this. I'm part of that global network of 3,000 trainers that work with each other and this whole thing about making client the hero. I'm a fan of Cartman's drama triangle, and we do a lot of work with it. And one of the roles in the drama triangle is the rescuer. And many trainers, many consultants make a living from rescuing their clients and setting their clients up to be dependent on them. And so it's a position like this, which is not an existential position. It's not plus plus, and it's not good for long-term loyalty and long-term engagement. And so how do we make the client the hero? And I want to make a couple statements here, and they may shift things a little bit for how we're used to thinking about this. PCM does not solve client problems. PCM has never solved a single problem. Jamie was asked once in a training, so does PCM work? And she said, no, you work. PCM is simply a tool. It does nothing until you use it. And so that's really important to talk about. Otherwise, we can make big promises. PCM will do this. PCM will do that. No, it won't. We also don't solve client problems. The clients solve their own problems with our solutions. And for us as Next Element, that has really helped us focus on we create solutions. We develop wonderful, amazing solutions, and then we help you use them. We teach you how to use them so that the client can be the hero, solve their own problems with our tools. So in the book, who are the heroes? Who's the hero? Or is there more than one?
I mean, it's so true, Nate, the thing that is something that I noticed. I mean, it's and it is also why I noticed that PCM doesn't work for everybody. So you have a class, so you have people that really catch and really use and change their life. Other people just, I mean, they didn't catch anything, because you should be ready. And it's about yourself. It's not, I mean, you give him, a tool, and his own decision to use it or not to use it. So it's true. It's completely true.
Yeah.
So
who's the hero?
I mean, Kyla is one of the heroes, I think.
Well, she's certainly a reluctant hero. She doesn't always like what she's hearing. She doesn't want to use it. She's skeptical. And she also makes some decisions on her own to use the tool when nobody is watching and nobody told her to do it. And that's when she has her breakthroughs. When she gets hooked by her boyfriend with his opinions and she says, wait, I can see differently with PCM and I can make a different choice. And she tries something and it works. She's instantly the hero, not because of PCM, but because she used PCM. And it worked.
I think we could also position the leader of the organization as the hero too, especially when we're talking about a sales proposition or a sales situation where if we're in front of a CEO or a decision maker within an organization and they're considering bringing PCM inside of the organization and they're willing to read this book, then the leader of that particular story really looks good and has created quite the team.
And Sam has struggled. She didn't do it easily. She had to overcome a lot of obstacles and she had to get vulnerable. And she made mistakes, big mistakes along the way. Yeah. And both Sam phases before the story begins and before she came to work at Process Core, but Pauline has phased while she's at Process Core. And it's been a really interesting, to to see someone through when they're phasing, especially from promoter is a pretty tall order, pretty difficult task. And so I'm guessing leaders can relate to being in that struggle with people and how it builds loyalty and builds bonds and builds engagement when you see someone through phasing. Yeah. Lots of heroes. Even the boyfriend is a hero because he gets curious and he's willing to listen and ask questions and support her, even though he's skeptical. Keep your eye out for those, because sometimes one of the most personal things we can do with a prospect is to say, hey, I have this book and I thought of you because Sam struggles with the same thing you're struggling with. And I thought you might gain inspiration from her story. Or I thought of you because you have young upcoming women leaders that have a lot of creative energy, but don't always comply. And there's a character in this book that's just like them and they can be productive. So I thought of you. So advocates and adversaries, one goal of the book is how do we empower the advocates? How do we give them tools to have a louder voice or a stronger voice and to have more influence in the decision? And then how do we neutralize the adversaries? I'm curious if you saw any of that going on in the story.
Yeah, I really felt like the conversations that happened early on between Sam and Kayla neutralizes adversaries, because Kayla is skeptical. She feels like she's been burned before. And the conversation between her and Sam is often articulating what's different. And she's this internal dialogue with Kayla is not only skeptical, but wondering if this could be true. I mean, that's like from a really emotional level, like, am I okay? Actually.
Yeah.
And at every corner, both Sam and Pauline really answer those questions. And then I think secondarily, the conversation between Kayla and her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's very good at his natural skepticism to be critical in his thinking. Ask the right questions and they get answered.
I would say that the boyfriend was an adversary. He didn't trust this could be real. He didn't know why she was so excited. He would try to temper her enthusiasm with skeptical opinions. And when she started using process instead of content, he became an advocate for her and began supporting her. And actually later on in the story even says, hey, give it the benefit of the doubt, give it a try, you know? So he's actually now, and have any of you been with a persister that started out skeptical, and then after you use process with them, they become your biggest advocate?
My partner.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
actually persister phase, thinker base, but he normally he doesn't trust this kind of models. He's very skeptical. You really have to prove it to him. You actually, you need to also keep the thinker happy, so give him the facts and all the underlying information that that make this model such a what it is. So actually, it was when I was getting certified that I had a lot of conversations with him, and I was actually practicing what I was learning with him. And then he became an advocate, and now he supports me a lot. And he says, like, really, if there is one tool that I would recommend to a company, it would be this one. And for him to say this is amazing. So yeah.
One persister advocate is worth 100 of any other kind.
True, they are the most difficult to gain.
They're so hard.
Yeah.
I have an experience with one of my customer. He's promoter base, persister phase. And actually at the beginning, he told me that I don't believe in these models. I have to do something with my team. So I know you, and you do what you want, but I don't believe about it. At the end, I mean, it was very happy, but what really surprised me that after a while, he left the company. He went to another company, and he sent me a message and told me that he used the little house to present himself to the new to the new team.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
It was great.
Yeah. Good. Okay. The another important aspect of sales is overcoming objections. People have lots of objections from their own past, from their experiences. And I'm curious, what are some of the most frequent objections you get from people? What do you hear?
I can start with some examples, and it's related with what Carol had said before about a lesson that I've learned to not position PCM as a profiling tool or anything to do with this, because at least in the UK, I know Insights is very, very strong, and MBTI and all these tools, they are really strong, and they wouldn't even hear about other tools. And so that is they would say that I don't need another one. And when they hear the price for a profile, it's like, oh, and so expensive, and like, really, I can get that for much less. Why would I even try you? Like, I'm already good with what I am. So yeah, I think the price of the profile and just when they hear profiling, anything about profiling, that raises objections.
Sure.
And the 3 days normally, so that's why I also started to work with 2+1 day, but I try to go as much as I can with 3 days, but yeah, normally that's not always doable.
I think time and money are objections that everyone is facing these days. It's a reality. Yeah.
Yes, maybe, I don't know what's the next slide, so maybe I could wait. But an objection is a bit like what Magda said, you know, it's another profile, it's another method, we've gone through it, now we have to change the approach, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And what I think we can promote and propose is not so much a spot type of intervention, but more of how do you say that, a journey. So it's really about what we all know. It's about a mindset, it's about a culture, it's about something which go deeper than just a superficial type of bandage or way of doing things. It's a deep transformation of individuals which actually then come up with solutions that are good for the team and for the company and for everything else. So that would be, you know, what do you want? If they have an objection, my answer would be, okay, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
Also, and trying to find out more.
Well, certainly the characters in the book have many, many objections, and they are skeptical. They don't think it will work. They're afraid. They're insecure. They're worried about what their business will think, how much it will cost. All of these are there. And one of the things you'll notice is that each time a character shows an objection, they are treated with respect. The other people show empathy for that, appreciate that objection and don't discount it, and use process to get through it. So there's a lot going on there. I didn't realize how much was in there until Jerome Lefebvre, when he was editing the book, he said, this is a sales book because it's all about overcoming objections, because Kayla is on this journey, this lifetime journey, like you said, Carol, and overcomes them. Competition, eliminate the competition. And so this is where we can focus on what are the unique top features of PCM that make it better than anything else. In the interest of time, I would do a breakout session, but I want to share with you what we've been hearing and get your input as well. The book highlights what we've come to see as the most significant unique features. It's the only model based on observable behavior. And that means that it was mathematics and factor analysis and correlations that actually revealed the 6 types. This wasn't somebody's theory in their head. For the thinkers, they like that because it's about observable behavior. It's mathematically developed. It measures types in people, not types of people. This is significant if the problem we're solving is diversity or inclusion issues, or empathy, or any type of helping people appreciate each other and have tolerance for diversity. This is a huge distinguishing feature. PCM is the only tool that I know of that distinguishes both stable and dynamic features of personality. So it will show you what has stayed the same, and it will show you what has changed. And most other models don't distinguish that and show how they're connected. Most other models will say, maybe this is your coping self, or maybe this is your shadow self, or whatever, but there's no connection. If they're measuring that and they call themselves personality, they're probably just measuring distress, and so it changes every day. That's one of the reasons why Myers-Briggs and some of the others are so unreliable, is they're not distinguishing between stable and dynamic features. PCM is full of coins. On one side of the coin is drivers. On the other side of the coin is channels. On one side of the coin is motivation. On the other side of the coin is distress masks. And they're all very connected and predictable, and that's unique about PCM. PCM also teaches diagnostic and communication strategies. So someone earlier said it teaches you how to do this in real time. How many of you have heard someone say, well, I wish I just had a disc profile on them, then I would know what to do? PCM, you don't need a profile. Shh, don't tell anyone that. Once you learn PCM, this is real-time observation of real behavior. Any other unique features that make PCM different and better that you've identified or that you share?
Well, I think my first comment would be this: the roof or the top, everything. I mean, it covers the cover for everything is the plus plus. It's like, you know, you beautiful, I'm valid, you valid, and very often when you tell that to people or to individuals, it already creates a sense of relaxation. It's so that's like the fundamental, something that we say, and I really like it. And also what you said about the types in people, I think it gives people a sense that everything is possible. it's something that they can do. Even if they decide to go into their elevator and go to the 6th floor, it's their decision. It's not something which is not there. It is there. What do you do with it? How often do you go in it? What could you do with it? Very often, I think that also gives the people a lot of not only insight, but sometimes I wouldn't say hope, but possibilities that they had not seen or considered before.
And that plays into them being the hero of their journey. They have new choices, new insights, new tools. Yeah, fantastic. Well, offering a clear plan of action is another important step. And seeing people through shows a plan of action. It shows specifically how Process Core brought PCM in, how they're using it, what they do. And Kayla is part of the introductory training. And so it's very clear what she's doing throughout the process. And our goal was to show that PCM can be embedded into an entire culture. It doesn't just have to be an event. It doesn't have to just be, we're going to coach one of your leaders. It has the potential to transform culture. I'm curious if, as you read the book, does this book support the kinds of solutions that you could offer to a company? Like, what if someone read the book and said, I want to be Process Core, can you help me?
I think is as Carol said before, is the fact that the book is a journey. So it's not just I'm doing a profile and I'm in like this and that's all, but it's a journey. So I think it's very, I mean, it's great because it shows you how a person can transform herself in the sense of Kyla, but also how the company can help. And I think this is I mean, this is an action plan. How the company can help their employees to be the best of what they can be. I think this.
Yep. Great. Well, there's a few more things, and then I want to share with you where we could go from here. A couple more features of the book. You might notice there the characters are strongly female. These are strong female characters, and that was on purpose. There are male characters as well, but the female characters are to illustrate the strength of females and that females can be leaders. The main character, Kayla, is harmonizer in a rebel phase, and those are two types that generally have not been seen as leaders. And they have a negative connotation. And so Kayla struggles with all of that, how she's seen, what she's capable of, how she can transcend her distress and show all of the great energy of her structure. Also, the chapter summaries give very high-level hot topics. Our publisher said there are people who want to read the book just by reading the first paragraph of every chapter. And so we created that book for them. It's about a 15-page book if you want to read just the summaries and skip the story. And that's okay for some types. The reference guides represent the most up-to-date theory and application of PCM out there now. It is all in the leadership profile as well. It has all been vetted by TABI and the CMTs. And so it is kind of the newest, best guide for how we're going to talk about PCM. And these can be great solutions for prospects. Imagine if you sent the book and said, hey, I was thinking of you because you were talking about, blah, blah, blah. There's a table on chapter 7 that gives you specific instructions. I was thinking about the rebel. Maybe that would help you with your child. And just give them very specific solutions that they can go apply right away. Have you seen my interview with Taby on the introduction?
Yes.
This turned out to be a lot better than I thought it would be. He was so energized and came ready to talk about kind of the background. He talks about NASA. He talks about Clinton. He talks about a lot of important things. And this is on the website for seeing people through, a great way to give some credibility. And if people are curious about where did this come from, that's a video you could reference. I want to share with you 2 resources if you're curious. StoryBrand is is a fantastic resource on how you clarify your message. How do you talk about your solutions? And it gives a great template. There's a lot of free resources. The book Story Brand is a great resource we've used in our company. If you're working on your website or promotional materials, it can be fantastic. And let's see, Aaron, could you drop that in while I'm talking? Would you be willing to look it up and put it in the chat?
Yes, for StoryBrand.
Yeah.
Just their main homepage.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And then another company I would highly recommend if you are looking for help in sales. Ignite Selling, Steve Gelda, we met through an association of learning providers here in the US, and we've been getting to know him, and he's been working with us around a sales process. And he is incredibly wise on how companies actually make buying decisions. And how can we have a sales process that parallels that? He helped us to design what are the main milestones to reach in the sales process, what are the questions we have to ask, and how do we use that in our sale to be able to move strategically. We're already finding it incredibly helpful. And if you're interested in, there's his website there, and if you're interested in an introduction to just visit with him about how he might be able to help you, he's wonderful, great guy. Happy to make that introduction. And that's all that I have. It's kind of a fast journey here in an hour. I'm happy to stick around for a few more minutes if there's anything you want to share or questions. I see, is that Marco with us? Yeah. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, I would like to ask, from your experience with working with companies and bringing PCM with them, what was the best way you found to actually construct a PCM journey for them on longer term? What are the main things you do to reach that? You're on mute.
You're muted. It's a secret. Apparently.
And that's how we made $1 million.
I see. Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, we didn't make $1 million. About 5 or 6 years ago, we started breaking up the Seminar One into 3 or 4 hour blocks with activities and homework in between. And that was probably the biggest breakthrough that we had in making it stick and really getting it embedded in a company, because back-to-back days of training, people don't have a chance to practice or try what they're learning in real time. They don't have a chance to engage their objections and come with real life situations. And so it allows us lots more homework, lots more practice, and they come back if they don't get overwhelmed with new learning.
True. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Generally too, when people say, oh, can we use PCM for this, for this, for this, for this, we might say, sure. And your solutions will be better than ours. So as you're learning PCM, we want to hear from you about where do you see it applying, and then we can consult with you. So one company said, oh, I could see this being beneficial for performance review, performance management. And we said, absolutely, let's build something together.
And this was following a presentation that you had made, or somebody that had followed a seminar or something, for them to have already an idea of what it was, and then asking the question, where do you think this could be useful?
It was after training. After training or during training, yeah.
After a training, okay. Like a basic training or something. Well, we in Italy, we are, I've been using the app that we have created to support post training. So the people who have been in training have been followed by myself through a program of a few months where they had some activities that could be done singularly or individually, let's say. Or also, and I haven't tried this yet, but I'd love to try it as a group, in a group with very short sessions. So I think this has some very high potential.
So I did something similar for as Nate, in the sense that I have a customer with they did already the PCM, they have their own IDPs, and what I talking together with HR, we realized that they have a problem with the feedback stuff. So we resonate together how to use what we know about, what they know about PCM to facilitate, to have a very good feedback, the art of feedback using PCM. This is something that we realized that PCM could be used for this. So they can also leverage on because PCM and the IDP is a precious thing. So it's good that they can use for multiple things, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, and particularly now with what is expected post-COVID, and post-COVID probably going to be more difficult than during COVID, is
yes.
the number of difficult conversations there's going to be.
Yeah.
And so in this case, for example, like feedback or having to have these difficult conversations, I think PCM would be very, very useful.
Yeah, people have been asking, how can I get the book, especially if I'm outside of the US? And it's difficult. And we are working on distributors now. It will be in India. We're working with France. We're working with translations in a couple languages. But for now, BK is our publisher, Barrett Kohler. And from our website, from the Seeing People Through website, you can go to them and use a code, SPT30, and get 30% off of the book. And you can also purchase from Porchlight Books. This is another distributor. They ship UPS anywhere in the world. It's not cheap, but you can get up to 40% off or more if you buy maybe 100 books. And so if you're interested in having copies of the book for use in your sales, this might be an option. We are working with the publisher to give you big discounts on ebooks that you can bundle with your PCM programs. Some people like the traditional hard book that you can give to someone that you can write in. Some people like to read on their Kindle or on their computer. But we want to make an ebook available so at a good cost or a good price, so you can bundle it in with trainings. If you want to say with your profile, you will also get a copy of the book, or maybe you want to do a book study. Everyone gets the profile, and they get the book as an ebook, and then you facilitate book study, whatever. But stay tuned. We're doing everything we can to make the book available as economically as possible for you.
A technical question, maybe you know the answer. I've ordered the book. I believe it's an ebook. Should it get, I wasn't sure whether it would get to, I don't know if it would get to me. It wasn't clear to me if it would be a copy like a PDF type thing that I would get and be able to read from someplace, or because they didn't ask me much about Kindle, or it didn't seem to me that it would get there. I don't know. No. So I haven't received anything. I was supposed to get it like a few days later, and I haven't seen it yet. So maybe
Did you buy it on Amazon as a Kindle?
No, I bought it through your publisher.
It's possible that they won't send it until August 4. That's when the book goes live.
Okay.
So I would wait till August 4, and if you don't get it.
Okay.
Oh, some have.
Although, yeah, okay. I will check it out.
Some people have received their copies already.
Yeah.
Did you use the e-code? Did you use the code that we sent you and click to download the PDF?
No, well, yes, but is it a PDF then?
Yeah.
Okay, so it should get to my email.
You could download it straight onto your computer.
I should be sent through an email though. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything, but I will directly go to them or whatever.
All of you received the email after you attended the last webinar with an invitation for this, and the link was in there to get your free book. Did it work?
Wasn't free, I paid for it.
Oh, that's a different one then. You must be a different book you ordered. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, oops.
We'll find out. Thank you.
Yeah. We're having a launch party on August 4. The book goes on sale on August 4 and 11 to 11:30 a.m. this time next week. If you want to join, feel free. There's a link. And this, we're going to have just 30 minutes talking about it, sharing some specials. Those of you that are trainers in the US, you can get a discount your clients can get a discount on the leadership profile if they join from us. So we're doing everything we can to get it out there, and we're here to support you, and certainly, hopefully, it can help you sell more PCM and make a bigger difference in the world. Yeah.
Yes.
Anything else before I'll put this, I'll put this link in the chat also.
Well, we just wish long life and a happy life to this new book.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's leadership. I mean, it's great to have a book on leadership with PCM. It's great, even if you wait.
Okay.
You know, if PCM is in the back. It's great.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, have a wonderful rest of your day. Good luck. And I will stop recording now.